Welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where Jimmy Allen, your host, takes you around the city of Omaha and introduces you to people who are business owners, influential figures in our computer, people just making an impact on the Omaha area. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your brand online today. If your business needs help with any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com today. I'm really fired up for this one. Today we're joined by Jay Miralles from the 50 Mile March. Buddy, I appreciate you making time and rescheduling stuff to be here. Thank you so much.
Brother, I appreciate this. I'm grateful to be here. Anytime we can share the story, it's a win for us.
It's an incredible one, and I agree with you. And I've been following you guys for a couple of years, and I want to hit on what the 50 Mile March is first, and then I want to get into the backstory about it. It's the 24th and the 25th of August. It's a 22-hour march. When we talk about the infancy of this idea, where did it come from, and how has it grown over the last 5 years?
So I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version. 2020, I decided to make a promise that I've been BSing on for 10 years. But the promise was this. When I got out of the military in 98, I went through a hard time. I went through a divorce. I became homeless. I needed help, and I was in denial. A friend of mine helped me get back on my feet. I bargained with God. I said, God, if you ever help me, I promise I'll help others. Kept saying that, kept BSing. Fast forward to 2020, I said, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to walk 50 miles from Lincoln to Omaha, and it's going to be my 50th birthday. It's going to be so cool, right?
Yeah.
But it was just pomp and circumstance. I was just interested at that point. And I held it off because of COVID, right? And my friend said, hey, man, you sure love to make a pomp and circumstance. You love these parade things, and you just never follow through. He's a battle-wounded friend of mine.
Sure.
I said, damn, man, you're right.
That's what you needed.
So I said, okay. He kicked me in the shorts, and I was like, okay, I got to do it. 30 people said they were going to walk. Day of, 6 people showed up, man. 6.
Yeah.
Six of the tribe that I needed. We had no plan, nothing. One chase vehicle, digital vehicle that gave a digital billboard sign, and we walked. No, we just didn't even have a route. We just said we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Along Highway 6, we almost went the freeway.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Because I want to backpedal. When we talk about X amount of people saying that they're going to show up, and then 6 show. Was it a little disheartening at the time, or was it more motivation because you had 6 other people with you?
You know, here it's a story of life. How many people say, "I'm going to do this, Jimmy"?
Right. Yeah.
Jimmy, I'm gonna do this for you, and then they don't. So there's a thing that we call interest and commitment. Everyone is interested in the 50 Mile March.
Yeah.
But those who are committed are the ones that go through the hell with us. And it's okay. I want people to be interested. I want them to be curious. Then we want to bring them in after they listen to this story. Yeah. They're interested, just like you're interested. Now you said, hey, let's do something about this. Your talent, Jimmy, is allowing me to share the story with a lot of people. Was I disheartened? No. I mean, it does deflate you, but I can't concentrate on who's not coming.
Sure.
I got to concentrate on who's coming. So every year it's been like that. You know, there's a qualifier and everything. So 5 years ago, 6 people, we raised $25,000. Last year, 87 people, we raised almost $500,000.
That's incredible.
It's crazy to me, man.
When you do it the first time,
yes.
And you're like, take me back into the moment. You just finished.
Yeah.
Were you thinking that was the one, and we did one, and that's
Yes.
good enough?
Yes.
Or where did the inspiration come from in year 2?
So year 1, we were like, okay, we did it. We're never going to do this again. My feet were busted.
So usually after 50 miles, it'll do it.
Yeah. Remember throwing up. I mean, just imagine, Jimmy, the worst planning in the world, 50 miles, not knowing how good this could be or how bad it could be. We're done. It was a one-time thing.
Sure.
There was no foundation. I don't even think it was called the 50 Mile March then. Really, it was maybe a march to remember or something like that. But then 2 months later, Dr. Fit and Fabulous, my co-founder, said, hey, we going to do this again? And then another friend, are we going to do this again? I said, what's this?
Were either one of them a part of the original 6?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dr. Fit and Fabulous.
Because it's one thing for somebody from the outside being, hey, you should go walk 50 miles again. But if they're in it with you, you kind of have to, right?
And so then we came up with this whole vetting process to say, all you interested people, show up at an actual march with us. Show up to qualify.
Okay.
So we had 55 people show up to the qualifier, and only 39 ended up shaking out doing it. But
What does the qualifier look through?
qualifiers like a 15-mile march, 15 pounds in your backpack. You must have all your equipment, which is Camelback, hat, sunscreen, all that stuff. I mean, all your equipment to make sure that you're ready to go.
Okay, I was going to make fun of a few people about the
Yeah.
hat last year, so now I'm glad I didn't. I didn't realize it was a requirement. Okay.
Yeah. That's funny because some people want to fight the hat. You got to wear a hat, and here's why. You're going to lose water.
It's
Period.
August.
End of
Yeah.
story. Yeah, man. I'm telling people who think it's cooler to walk without a hat are crazy because the water escapes your head.
Yeah. Let me ask about the August portion of it.
Yes.
And obviously this is something that is to reach down and inspire people and maybe bring out the warrior in them. How much does the heat play? Like, because, I mean, I think you guys could go the pun route and do the 50-mile march in March or maybe
Yes.
like late September or October. Is there a reason August and a reason for the hotter months?
Yes. So one of our mottos is we can do hard things. It's true,
Okay.
right? And sure, the march originally was supposed to be in March, and then it got kept pushed. But August 1 is an ideal time. It's before school. It's before all the crazy Husker schedule. But
Sure.
we decided just to keep it right around that weekend because it is the temperature that it is. It's almost like the week before rains, the week after is hell. But sometimes the ground temps get up to 101, 102, 103, right on 370.
Yeah.
So at your 48th mile, when you're almost done, it's like there's an oven, someone opened an oven and you're sticking your head right in it.
Right.
And I tell you what, people start hallucinating that last couple miles and you can see people encouraging each other, pushing each other like, you're not going to quit. Are you crying? You're not crying.
There's no
are
crying
you?"
and marching.
Yeah. But then, and let it out. Let out all the pain. So it's emotional. The last 5 miles is where people are either charged up, fired up, stressed out. And it's probably my favorite part of the march.
You mentioned that the amount of money that you've raised. For anybody that doesn't know where the money goes to, can you let people know where that money goes to?
100%. So first year, again, all we did was donate the money to 2 organizations, Guitars for Vets and Moving Veterans Forward. Again, that was it. We just thought that's going to be it.
Sure.
Well, the second year, we raised like 100-something thousand. I was like, whoa, we can't just keep splitting this money and giving it to organizations and
Not having any idea.
any
happening with
idea.
it. Yeah.
So my buddy Ron Hernandez, who right now is in the fight of his life, and he's been in the fight of his life for six years, and this is hard to talk about, Jimmy. So if you'll just give me
Take
this.
your time, man, if you have to.
Ron Hernandez is in his 4th round stage of chemotherapy right now. He's riddled with it, and this is public discussion. He's with Moving Veterans Forward. He's an organization that helps homeless vets get furniture, and they check on them and a whole lot of things. So check out Moving Veterans Forward. On the 3rd mission, which is in 2023, he called me, or he told me 2:00 in the morning. He says, "You're going to see this through, right?" I said, "Yeah, what are you talking about, Ron? Man, we come this far." He goes, "No." He goes, "If I'm not around anymore, you got to promise me, brother, that you're going to help Moving Veterans Forward." I said, "What?" I didn't say anything, Jimmy. I said nothing. He looks at me. I look at him. 2:00 in the morning. I get up. I'm like, brush my face off and I ignored it. I wanted that to go away because I couldn't keep that promise.
Yeah.
Then I had a vision. I said, you know what? We're going to create this community. It's going to have a community center, big building, resources, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, doctors, whatever we can put the smart people in the building, and then 22 tiny homes. So that's what the vision is. We're going to build a 22 tiny home community with a full resource center. Now, we're not just going to serve the 22. We're going to serve the people who don't need a home. And maybe Mitch is married. Maybe Shelly's married to whatever. They just need a hand up and a little bit of empowerment. They don't need the whole thing, just a little bit. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to be the gap in between the services provided by the government and the people who are too stubborn to go. We are going to stand in that gap. Because I didn't want to go, Jimmy.
Is that difficult?
Man, I didn't ask for help, and here's why. And I want the world to know this. Why don't veterans ask for help? Because, Jimmy, they were taught to shut your mouth and don't say anything. They were taught, if you tell me you're depressed, Jimmy, you're going to lose your security clearance. We're going to put you on suicide watch. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be dishonorably discharged. Well, I don't think many people would be like, yeah, I'm going to get out of here.
Let's go talk about
Let's
this.
go talk about this.
Yeah.
But plus, it wasn't masculine or,
Well, I think
at
that's
the
a big
time.
part of it too, right? You get a gun shoved in your hand. You got to go through this gas chamber basic training.
Yes.
You're made to be told that you have to be the weapon, not the warrior.
Yes.
And then you have to come and obviously we talked a little bit about what I do at night in sports talk radio.
Yes.
I talk about this often with athletes too. Is we ask these men and women to go out and be the elite of the elite and be different and be supreme. We ask the same thing of our soldiers.
Yeah.
And then expect them to have a light switch and turn it off when they go home at night, and it's almost impossible to do.
Damn, you described that perfect. I never heard it that way, the light switch. But we do ask a lot of a 19-year-old kid with millions of dollars sometimes in inventory or equipment to oversee a 22-year-old flying a freaking $2 billion piece of equipment, or somebody holding a $2,000 weapon in their hand, right? And we expect them. They were just a junior in high school 2 years ago.
I'll even double down on that. I mean, you really are asking to at some point to hold the power of the free world in your hand, because a mistake could be world changing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
not to just you, but to those around you, and then to the perfection or the order, the regimen, and that's fine, but what the transition, Jimmy, for most is, imagine being incarcerated. I'm not saying it's like incarceration, but there's rigid rules and there's protocol, and okay, you can go pee now, you can eat now. Maybe it's not that rigid, but when you get out of incarceration, it's like, okay, the world is yours.
Yeah, go back to being normal.
Exactly. Go back to the civilian world. No support system. Nobody knows what acronyms you're talking about. Hey, shut your mouth because you're going to lose your job here too. Yep. Hey, listen, also because you were just had a weapon in your hand, all you can do is work at come and go. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, and I think, and we're catching up with Jay Miralles of the 50-Mile March here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. And I just want to get this out there really quickly. The Moving Veterans Forward website is what's scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now. So if you'd like more details on that, please click on the link and head to Moving Veterans Forward for more information there. But for a long time, and correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I'm not a veteran, I haven't been in your shoes, but it felt like for a long time, saying you're a veteran was a dirty word. And it kind of feels like that has changed to some degree, because I think people are becoming educated about it. And it's one of those things that it's so difficult. It's easy to understand both sides, right? It's easy to understand somebody that's worried because they've never been in those shoes, but at the same time, you can't turn around and thank that person for their services,
right?
And then not offer them a job because of what they've done for the country,
right?
It's such a fine line, but I just don't know how you like. It's how do you fix that situation? The only way, in my opinion, to do so is become more educated about it and see how you can help that person out. That sounds like a lot of what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So one of the core functions of what our community of hope will do is job services. So folks like Werner Trucking. I mean, there's a lot of people that are familiar with driving a government-owned vehicle, being very disciplined in operation of that vehicle. That translates well to driving a truck. You have to realize I got out making this was years ago, making $24,000 a year, barely scraping by, right?
It's not much more than that.
No, right? Exactly. Think about it, right? So job training, things of that nature, but it doesn't translate well to the outside because no one takes the time, or we were taught less than. Yes, things have gotten better to transition people out of the military, but the job translation is I never did that job. Because remember, people thought for you the whole time, Jimmy.
Yeah.
People thought for you. Your idea, like, hey, I got an idea. Not really.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. This is how it works, or people die. And I respect that, right?
Sure.
So it's a system that you plugged into.
Let's go back to the march for a second here, because I mean, and we can solve all the world's problems here in a minute. But
yes.
If somebody is looking at 50 miles, 22 hours, the equipment that you mentioned a minute ago, and they're saying I can't do that, what's the inspiration for them to do it? What if that person's listening right now? Talk them into the room. How do they become a part of this, and why is it important for them to do it?
So we talk about this, right? There's a percentage of life. So some people find 50% of themselves every day. They go to work, They have a job, they pay bills to go to work, they have a job to pay bills, right? That's a cycle. That's 50% of life.
Yeah.
You're only enjoying 50%. Then there's some people who are like, okay, well, I'm going to work out a little bit. I'm going to read. I'm going to self-develop. Probably 75% of the world. You find 75% of yourself. Now, the people at 90% of life, when I tell people on the march or on qualifier, you will find 90% of yourself today. I yell that a lot. People are like, what are you talking about, Jay? To push yourself to the limit mentally and physically. Like, listen, Jimmy, most people can walk 50 miles if their life depended on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to make a decision and a commitment to say, you are going to do it regardless. Everyone, listen, CrossFitters, bodybuilders, people built normal, like regular, people who are 75 years old and 8 years old this year. Mm-hmm. It's in the mindset, bro. You have to decide and commit.
Michael
not
Severe
easy.
got his old ass out there and did it.
And the guy needed a knee replacement the first year he walked with us, postponed his knee replacement, and then last year he replaced his knee and he walked with us. I think he's got a torn
meniscus, right?
No, he's got a torn calf right now, I heard.
Wow. Okay.
But Michael Severe is like the salt of the earth. The guy's running his own foundation. He's always helping others. And he's in the 50-mile march. Again,
one of my favorite people in the industry.
All day long. What's the inspiration or why? The why is you got to put yourself in that veteran's mind. Mm-hmm. Hey, we get to go home after this, Jimmy. Some people got to sleep under the Bob Carey Bridge.
Sure.
Hey, we get to eat something, Jimmy, and we throw away a portion of what we're eating sometimes. Guess what? The guy under the bridge doesn't have, or the gal on the park bench. One doesn't have a meal, two has no dignity. Mm-hmm. So ask me, would I walk 100? Yeah, I'd walk 100 or 150 if I had to.
I want to ask, because I've done some research about you, and we've talked to a few people in suicide prevention, whether it be on After Hours or here, and you make no bones about it. And you're not afraid to use the word suicide.
No.
Where does that passion come from for you?
Because I know what it's like to write a letter to my parents and tell them it wasn't them, and just remembering the things, the feeling, and having that gun in your mouth.
Sure.
And being scared but brave at the same time. And here's the thing, politically correct. Oh, self-select infliction. Like, listen, man, it's suicide.
Yeah.
We've known that for years. Let's talk about the word suicide. Everybody knows what it means.
Is that a big deal for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because if we don't talk about suicide, Jimmy, we're going to skirt it on the oh, be careful what you say, Jay. No, because if there's someone listening right now and says, I'm on the brink.
Yeah.
I want to take myself out, suicide. I want to kill myself. Let me tell you, there's help. First of all, there's my telephone number, or there's 988.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking it's too macho or too inferior or not glamorous to ask for help, here's why I want people to know why. People think the pain goes away, Jimmy, when someone takes their life. The pain only multiplies to others, bro.
Yeah.
So you might be hurting right now, but when you leave that hole, you'll leave a hole in other people's hearts forever. So please, I'm asking that you just get help. And then here's the other part. How do you help people? Like, sometimes you're like, oh man, my friend Marcus or my friend Jerry, I don't want to make him mad though, Jimmy. I don't want to call him and make him mad, Jimmy. Make him mad. Yeah,
my friend Robert, and I don't think his family would mind me sharing this, took his life, and he's a former military veteran, and he didn't go the note route. He released a video on Facebook about all the stuff that he was dealing with, and having to sit there and watch it, know that it was done after he took his own life was one of those things that I'll never forget. So things like this hit close home to me. If you don't mind me asking, we didn't talk about this, so if you want to pass, that's fine. Yeah. Do you mind talking about what changed your mind, made you walk away from the ledge?
Yeah. I mean, no one's ever asked me that deep, right? Like,
because the reason I do ask this is because if there's somebody out there right now that's watching this that needs some inspiration to not do it, I think it's important.
There's multiple reasons, right? I mean, I had a young daughter, an infant. Literally, she was probably only a few months old, and God and self-centeredness, FOMO. Like, that sounds weird, doesn't it? FOMO, fear of missing out on life.
But if it's your story, man, it's your story.
Yeah. It's just so many different reasons. But the second time was just, because things weren't going great, and I don't know, man. I just, it's having people, I think, that cared about me. Like, oh yeah, that's probably it. Okay. Oh, so-and-so would be really disappointed if I did this. I'd hurt my mom if I did this.
This is going to seem like a really weird time to ask this question, but how much money did you guys raise last year?
$534,000.
So when you talk about the fear of missing out, there would be $530,000 out there that are going to veterans that are dealing with this situation. That money may have never came to fruition because you wouldn't have been around. So I think that's maybe the most important part, because not only can you save your life, but if you're struggling with something, you have the ability to save other people's lives. You can make a difference in everybody's life.
Yeah.
If people want to make a donation, where can they do it at? So
I'll give you the link. It's on Give Butter. Or you can go to our Facebook page, 50 Mile March. Our platform is Give Butter, Operation Noble Watchman. We have a whole platform. I'll give you the link, so maybe we can post it after.
And we have the 50milemarch.org scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now.
You'll be able to find it there and make a donation as well on our platform. But you've got 150 people walking this year, and 150 plus. And there's a lot of good people that are connected to this podcast that, hey, go support them. Every walker is responsible for $2,500. Some raise 10, some raise 20. I'm like, it kills me. But I want people to know we are overseen by the Papillion Community Foundation. We have a board of 7. We have a CPA or a treasurer, an attorney. So you're never going to see me pull up in some Lamborghini or anything like that. The one thing I wanted to make sure is that we're good stewards of money. And
we're catching up with Jay Miralles from the 50 Mile March here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. First of all, man, I want to thank you for sharing your story like that. I know that was tough to do. So thank you for doing that. If we're talking about 150 people this year, but let's take a look 2029. Let's look 5 years down the road. Where do you want the 50 Mile March to be at that point?
That's funny. Could you imagine, Jimmy, if you called me in 2029? I like to manifest stuff.
Me too.
So, Jimmy, hey, instead of your studio, come to our studio at our Community of Hope Operation Home Base, right? Where we have a podcast studio there. What does it look like? It looks like veterans from years past come back and say, hey, man, I was raised in this village here. I now work for Warner Enterprises. I'm making $100,000 plus being a team driver. My life is so much better. It looks like a guy named Andy going, man, if it weren't for you, bro, I wouldn't be here.
Sure.
It's crazy because I get texts like that now. Hey, Jay, if this weren't a thing, I wouldn't be here. And there's so many stories that are so impactful. But 5 years from now, looks like Operation Home Base is completed, built. Who knows, maybe other states. But we're trying to get it right here in Nebraska
for
first.
Foundation.
Yes, in Sarpy County. And there's a lot of eyes looking at us. And the different part of what we're doing is we're not just putting people in a box and saying, here's your benefits. We're empowering them with a track for rehabilitation so that they can further their life, further their living conditions. Absolutely, man. Like, poisonous giving is a whole nother thing where you give money and people just use it for, vodka. I want to make sure that we are empowering that person, teaching them life skills, connecting them with employers, such as the labor unions as well. So there's a lot of talks there. And I don't want to just take Dave Smith and help him.
Yeah.
David doesn't need help. He needs rehabilitation. He needs empowerment.
Probably needs something to make him feel like he's worth something again, too.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose, bro. That's the word we hear the most. People don't talk about their purpose enough.
Sure.
And I mean, man, you're living in your purpose, bro. How cool is this, Jimmy, to be able to sit across from people?
I pinch myself every day.
I mean, think about it, right?
I really do.
I just remember when I got out of the military, the job that I had was nothing remotely even close to fun. You know what I mean? So anyway.
And my favorite thing about what we do here is just hearing people's story. I always tell people, you can come in and talk about your foundation, your business, or whatever. We'll have a conversation, and I bring this up all the time, but we'll have just a conversation about life. We had Lloyd Elam in here from DBS Burke. They own a direct mailing solution company.
Yes.
We spent 30 minutes talking about the white and black community and how we can unite people.
That's awesome,
listen,
brother.
We had it wasn't scripted. It wasn't even what we had talked about. He made one comment. We went back and forth about it. But that's what this podcast is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about life. It's supposed to be about helping people. And if it's somebody's business or a foundation like yours, I mean, that's what this platform is for. And I'm glad that we're able to do that. I want to make sure that we mention this just because 50 miles is a long way. 22 hours is a long commitment.
120,000 steps. Who's counting?
If somebody can't make it, or maybe somebody literally physically can't do it, they're not Michael Severe and they're not Superman.
Yeah, right.
They can sponsor somebody who is walking. How can they go about doing that?
Same thing, 50milemarch.org. You can find somebody. We talk about contribution 3 different ways in the nonprofit world, or at least I profess this. Time. Give us your time. Maybe you just want to volunteer, make some sandwiches, join us on the side of the road. Maybe you want to be at the end to help with traffic control. Maybe you want to stuff envelopes for us, to thank our donors or things of that nature. That's time. Talent. Maybe you're a CPA. Maybe you're this. This is your talent, Jimmy. Sure. This is more impactful sometimes than just stroking a check, because someone's listening right now who's never heard of us before says, darn, Jimmy, that was a good podcast. How many times have you heard that?
All 380 of you watching right now, we appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's great. And then number 3 is treasure. That's the money.
Yeah.
That's the resources, right? Whether it's planned giving, through your estate, or it's a contribution, or a yearly giving plan or monthly giving plan. Our job is not to pander. Our job is to share the story. And if it compels you, then get connected with us. But that's how you get involved.
If somebody's doing it for the first time, what do you often hear at the end? What is kind of like the most frequently said thing to you at the end of it? What planet are we on, or is it something a little more inspirational than that?
So we land at Nebraska Brewing Company, and part of my job is to lead in, but on the very last entrance, I make sure to turn around, and I'm making sure that I'm high-fiving everybody,
Absolutely.
right? Like, I mean, I'm shot at that point. What I hear the most is, I can't believe I made it. Oh my God, this is so much bigger than just the march. Oh, Jay, this changed my outlook. Or if I can do this, Jay, I can do anything. Jimmy, it's translated into people upgrading their jobs, getting connected, partnering up, becoming friends, dating, people meeting because of the 50-mile march. It's a community already without walls. So
becoming a person again.
Yes. And people who are like, man, if it weren't for this, Jay, I wouldn't have. So there's so many things, but what you think starts out as a personal, like a physical challenge. Some people are like, I want to prove to myself I can do this. That's cool.
Yeah, sure.
Because most people can, but it's the unrealized, not consequences, results that you don't really think about, and it translates. First of all, if someone's walking like Michael Severe, he's not just showing up the day of the walk. From the qualifier to the walk, he's probably spending 150 hours in training.
He's walking from Dundee to McDonald's on 42nd and F to meet me for breakfast with his dog one day.
That's awesome, bro.
Yes. I want to ask, is there a reason? I got friends over there,
Yes.
Nebraska Brewing Company. Is there a reason Nebraska Brewing Company?
I love Kim and Paul.
Yeah.
Love them.
Sure.
Love them. So I came to Kim Kavulak and Paul Kavulak, in the back there. And one day on our second year, and I said, hey, Kim, this is the 50-mile march, and this is what it's about. Literally minute and a half into the conversation, Kim's like, we're in, whatever.
Yep.
We're in. Let's just do it. I said, wait, you got to know what it is. I don't care. Veterans, you said. So Paul's a Marine, right? Yep. And Kim Kavulak is on our board. If you can spend money, my friends, go to NBC, Nebraska Brewing Company. They're just great people.
Tour the brewery. It's fantastic in there too. Just did their son Connor's the podcast with No Block No Rock last week.
Yes, No Block No Rock. I love Connor, dude.
Is there anybody? You mentioned a few people. You mentioned making sandwiches, directing traffic. Is there anybody behind the scenes that we haven't mentioned yet today?
Yes, absolutely.
That deserves credit for helping make this thing
Damn,
possible?
Jimmy, you're so good. Like, this is such an easy conversation. I love this because there was no prep ahead of time, which I love, man.
I just want to have a conversation.
God, it was so good. Okay, so Brianne Schuler is our executive director. So she brings a lot of experience. She is the kingpin of running our operation. And then there's Leon Haith, 34-year combat veteran. He was our director of operations. That's our 2 paid staff. Adam Cassidy is the president of our board. We have a board of 7. The Papillion Community Foundation, Joe Hunter over there. So there's so many people behind the scenes, but man, this organization, knock on wood, if I were beamed up by a UFO tomorrow, it would still run. And then my co-founders, Dr. Fit and Fabulous, that's Dr. Jamie Seaman, and Matthew Bills.
It's a great name, by the way.
Yeah. She's a gynecologist, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And Matt Bills, Matthew Bills, he's Aspects and Angles Photography. He is the other co-founder. So there's 3 of us. His father was a 3-star general who oversaw Korea.
I can't mention this enough. I mean, if you are struggling with mental health, there's always an answer. You can text or call 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and there's somebody there that can answer your calls. We're hitting that half-hour mark where we kind of like to cut it out. We're actually over it, and we could talk for another hour if you wanted to. But is there anything about the 50-mile march that we haven't mentioned that you think we should say?
5th year. Most ideas that are nonprofits are either overlapping on what other people are doing, or maybe it's not the right mission. We know we have the right mission. We're forming a Veterans Alliance. We're coordinating with 21 other nonprofits to make sure we're not stepping on their feet. Other nonprofits have said, "Hey, I'm going to."
Sorry,
that's what's. I was like, "What's up?"
We hit the end of the time frame. That's when we know that's when we know we got to the end because the video stopped.
Yeah, 5th year though.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. 5th year. And I pinch myself, Jimmy. 5th year, I can't believe it. August 24th, 25th. There's information on Facebook as well about the landing party. Mm-hmm. So last year there was probably almost 2,000. We're expecting 4,000 this year.
We mentioned where it ends. Where does it start? It starts in Lincoln, but where?
Yep, we lay on the steps of the Capitol for 22 minutes on the concrete, bro.
Can you tell
no
people
bags,
why?
no nothing. Yes, so. The marketing and all of the branding and all of the messaging has been 22 veterans per day, is the lives. And so we've just kept with that just to make it easy. But we lay down for 22 minutes. We reflect, who are we walking for? Jimmy, I want to make this offer for you. You mentioned your friend who took his life. If you get permission from the family, I'll wear a little picture and a QR code on the back. I'll wear it on the back of my backpack. If anyone ever says, "Hey, who is that?" I'll flip it over and it'll go straight to video. Maybe you can talk about
absolutely.
Yeah. And that is, I'm only walking for 3 people so far, and it's a big deal, brother.
Man.
It's a big deal. But I want you to know that the world needs to know about your friend. And we need to say his name so that he never dies.
Yeah, and I know there's 2 people watching right now specifically that are friends with Robert Hercheski. So if anybody wants to text his mom, they can do that for me and let him know while I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
You were wrapping things up.
I'm sorry for anybody that wanted to hear Luke Combs sing there for me.
Yeah, all good.
And this is just the way my brain works, so stick with me as we get there.
Yeah.
We just saw land in North Omaha go for super cheap.
Yes.
People that are trying to do inspirational stuff.
Yes.
If there is a way to get the foundation started, or if somebody is there any thought process to how do we get this building built? How do we build this facility? And if somebody can, we've had people on here that work in corporate construction, can help with that. Where can they do that at?
So again, coordinate with all of us, but reach out to me specifically or Brianne Schuler. I'll tell you this. I always forget to do this. Somewhere, first of all, we're in the position to buy now.
Okay.
We can buy the land. We are just discerning right now because we don't want to buy the first piece of land.
The right place to do it.
Yeah, exactly, right? We want it to be the right partnership. We want the surroundings to be right. We want the zoning to be right. But if anyone knows of anything that we don't know about that's not on Facebook, maybe Uncle Bill is a farmer and says, "Hey, I'd love to donate part of this." We're just looking for 5 to 7 acres, brother. 5 to 7 acres anywhere. I mean, we're not closing our mind just to keep it to Sarpy County.
Sure.
Sarpy County makes sense, but are there other collaborations? I mean, are there other things, you know? I mean, homelessness and mental health go hand in hand, but brother, you know, the load on mental health right now is crazy. And to press 1 and press 2 and wait for an appointment, see a counselor in 4 weeks, you can't. And here's the other part. There are able-bodied people who don't even want to call anyone.
Yeah.
We want to take them by the collar, just like we did our brothers and sisters in battle, and drag them to help sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and getting help is not unglamorous. It's probably it's probably one of the most critical things to do is to say, I need help to get through today. Yeah.
Again, you can head over to 50milemarch.org. It's scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We've tagged Jay on Facebook today as well if you want to reach out about anything we talked about, or maybe you want to find out how to sponsor or be a part of the 50-mile march. Again, we just want to reiterate, it is this August, the 24th and the 25th. It does take 22 hours. Is camping involved, or is it just a straight walk?
Straight walk.
Straight walk, okay.
Bish's RV gives us 5 RVs so that we can do our bio breaks in and change and stuff. This year we have a luxury bath. It's not luxury. We have a 6-stall a bathroom that is following us because, as you can
Probably
imagine,
luxurious compared to a few years ago, right?
yeah, it's
Where's the closest tree?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, it's crazy. But can you imagine being on Highway 6, 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Trains going by, dark, and you
Every
can
now and
hardly
then you
see
see
in front of you.
headlights.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite the movement. They're only 30 to 40-minute breaks just to reset us.
Well, and I shared my story with you before we went on air about my nephew's in San Diego right now.
Yes.
My brother-in-law is retired Air Force, so thank you for all that you do. And
thank you, brother.
Again, head over to 50milemarch.org if you can make a donation or if you'd like to be a part of the festivities this year. Again, it is August 24th and 25th. It does take 22 hours. It is straight through, and if you are struggling with mental health or you know somebody who is, please have them call 988 and get a hold of the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline today. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're continuing the nonprofit portion of this show as we will be talking to the folks from Completely Kids and catching up with Lacey and those guys and talking about what they are doing in the community. Here's the Spotlight Omaha podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Rolls on tomorrow at 11. We'll see you then.